time to talk tomatoes. Generally, we recommend waiting to plant tomatoes until after the 1st of May. Many people plant them much earlier than that, but it's a little dangerous. Even if the temperatures don't freeze the plants, if the soil temperatures aren't high enough, the plant won't actively grow, and you can get into some fungus problems when the plant's just sitting there in cold, wet ground. So it's a good idea to kind of wait till the 1st of May. You may not have your tomatoes on the 4th of July like everyone's always trying for, but if you wait till the 1st of May, you'll be more likely to have more tomatoes later in the season. So when you're picking out tomatoes for your garden, there are a lot of different types. The two main classes are determinate and indeterminate. The main thing to keep in mind on determinate versus indeterminate is that the determinate stays smaller. And if you're in a tight bed situation or just don't have much room or if you're in a container on a patio, you should use the determinate types of tomatoes. For a garden, indeterminate's good because you can spread your crop out over a long season, and you can continue to get them bigger and bigger. The variety I've got today, this is called Sun Sugar, which is a little tomato for salads and just for eating when you're out in the garden. This one's great. There's one called Sweet 100, Sweet Millions, all those little red ones. This one is a yellow, kind of turns orange actually when it's ripe, and it's like 3 times the vitamin A. But one of the main reasons to grow it is that this one does a really good job of continuing to produce in July and August when temperatures go above 90 degrees. A lot of the tomatoes stop producing when the temperatures go above 90. But these little Sun Sugars will just keep right on going all the way through. So, it's time to plant tomatoes. Now there are about 1,000 different ways to grow tomatoes, and everybody's got their own way that they think works better than anything else. And there is pretty much no one right way to do it. So I'll just show you what I've done here, and you can judge for yourself whether you think that's right or not. I use raised beds, just use 2x8s, and use the topsoil in the ground and added compost into that. And I've done this for several years now, so what I do is pull this weed barrier back, add compost, and turn the bed in the fall. And then in springtime, when it's time to plant, all I have to do is go along and cut these little X's in the weed barrier, and then I can dig a hole straight down through that and plant my tomato in it, and then pull the weed barrier back, and that keeps me from having to weed because I'm a little bit busy at the nursery in the springtime, and it also keeps soil from splashing up on the leaves and bringing with it all of those soil-borne diseases. And I've had really good luck with it. I also have an irrigation line running through this bed that I've got on a clock, and it kicks on so that when I go on vacation, tomatoes are watered and all that. So all we have to do is plant our tomatoes. You generally make the hole about twice the size of the pot. And on tomatoes are one of the few plants where the deeper you get them, the better, so it's good to go deep. Almost everything else in the plant world you want to plant at the same level as the soil in the pot. But on tomatoes, you actually want to set them a little deeper. Alright, so we've dug our hole. We're going to add a little fertilizer in the bottom of the hole. Mix it up just a little bit. Here's our tomato. It's a Sun Sugar, little Sweet 100 type tomato, cherry tomato. This tomato's about the right size for transplanting. It could actually be just a little bit bigger. This is called a sucker, and on indeterminate tomatoes, you want to take and pop those little suckers out of there, prune them out. Here's another one. You just pinch them right out. What that does is it forces the growth to stay along the main line of the plant. So you pull all the suckers off, and you continue to do that up to some point in mid-June or so, and then you just let the plant grow after that. I also like to pull off the lower leaves, and what that does is it keeps the leaves up off the ground so that nothing's splashing up on the leaf surface, causing those leaf-borne fungus to grow. Might take that one off, but we'll leave it for today. Alright, to get the tomato out of the pot, you just squeeze on both sides and gently ease it out of the pot. Roots look good. Like I said, on tomatoes, you can actually plant them deeper than the soil level in the pot. So you just set it down in there, and you fill back around it. Keep in mind, this soil has already been amended with compost, so all we really have to do is fill back in. You don't want to compress too hard around the plant. A lot of times I'll try to leave a little bit of a well to catch water when you hand water. Pull the weed barrier back. Don't forget to put your tag back in so you know which tomatoes you planted. We have planted our first tomato. I also recommend putting the tomato cage on right when you plant, because if you don't, you'll forget and your tomato will get too big and too difficult to cage later. So let's put the cage on. Okay, here's the cage. I actually recommend the more heavy-duty cages, except I've used them all already. The trick for me is getting them through the weed barrier. One quick push will send them through. Make sure you get it way down in there with all those fine Arkansas winds that come along. Now, then you just let the tomato grow up the cage. Pull the suckers out, like I said, until about mid-June as it's growing, and it'll come all the way up, and you can add on a second cage if you need to, just to get enough height out of it. So there you have it. About 8 weeks until mid-July or so, and we'll be popping these little sun sugars onto our salads and eating them while we're out here in the garden. It's going to be great. I'm Stephen Black from Westwood Gardens. Good luck in the garden.